Well, ready? Welcome to another episode of Moonshots. As you know, every week we bring you amazing guests with great moonshots. And it's not about just their moonshot. They're here to tell you how to find your moonshot, how to execute in a moonshot, and how to be inspired to do the audacious thing that you never thought was possible. And this week is one of my favorite. I'm gonna have someone that I have always seen in the room behind the camera. And today I bring you Laura. So Laura, what is your moonshot?
Well, Naveen, I'm open to it changing, but for a while, my moonshot has really been to do whatever I can to heal our outer world, so our planet and our societies and our environment, by healing people's inner worlds, because they're very connected. Mm-hmm. There is no separation, and so I really believe that by healing our inner worlds and letting that expand out to our culture and our society, that will be one of the main ways that we heal our physical planet that we all exist on and get nutrients from and enjoy, and that all beings enjoy.
That is absolutely crazy, Laura.
I know. I hope so.
And so, looking at that, I mean, I've met so many different people. This is just an amazing moonshot, and I really, really hope that you dedicate your life to making this happen, because it is a cause. It is something that has to happen. So I'm glad you've taken it. Mm-hmm. How do you go about doing something that audacious?
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to go about it. My personal way right now is sort of 2 or 3-fold. So one thing that it starts with is just how I interact with the people I'm in the room with, how I interact with you and Mandy and Adam and all of the people I come across during the day. So the person, who is helping me bag my groceries, the person who is on the street and needs me to pick up something that they dropped, right? So there's the sort of local influence that I can have. Yeah. And then the other influence that I work toward is amplifying the voices of people and brands and movements that I feel are making a difference on a large scale, and bringing my creative ability and my genuine dedication and heart to amplifying those voices and those brands so that they can do their work even better in the world.
And the third? You have 3.
Yeah, I think for me, the third is on more of an energetic level. Yeah, so those interactions that I have with people, they're always going to have an exchange of energy. And there's also, like Dr. Barry was saying in his episode, he couldn't even walk into this monastery. There was such a wall of energy, right? And I do believe or perceive that when I practice, even if I'm sitting alone in a forest and I practice coming into presence and I practice emitting this loving kindness, this metta energy, that does something and that radiates outward, and it's not tangible and it's not necessarily something that I can measure, but I experience it. And so that's not a direct interaction, but it is something that I'm practicing and trying to emit on a global or, universal scale.
Well, Laura, I can tell you that you may not think it's tangible, but being in your presence makes everyone kind. So whatever you're doing, it's working. So just so you're making an impact here, right? And what is the world? I mean, if you close your eyes and you were to imagine that the world that you're trying to create, just describe to me what that world looks like. Now that we have gone through it, we have created this world, what does the world look like?
Yeah. Well, it's a world that is liberated from suffering. So truly, I find it described pretty well in the vision of Shambhala, which is a form of Tibetan shamanic traditions as well as Buddhism. So Shambhala, the vision, is of an enlightened society. So that's a society in which we are generally conscious and aware and kind and still active in the world, still, engaging with the sort of daily dharmas, the daily things that are food and walking and or however you move, there's still life happening, and at the same time we're very aware of what's going on, and we are not bringing increased suffering to ourselves or to others, or to any other beings. So that means we tread lightly. And so I picture a world in which everyone gets to enjoy the beauty of this amazing planet and also the sort of fascinating creations that humans can come up with, and the natural inspiration of wildlife, and, you know, just watching leaves fall. I mean, the incredible things of being here with the baseline understanding that there is a peace that goes beyond those things that are ultimately going to dissolve.
What does the kindness means to you?
One definition is not causing harm. That would be sort of, you know, Shakyamuni Buddha's definition is not causing harm to anything.
Including you.
Including yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So kindness is not I cut my finger so that you can be better off. That's not kindness, is it?
If that was what was required in that moment, it certainly could be. So if I'm donating blood, sure. Okay. But if I don't need to hurt myself in order to help you, it's better not to hurt myself, because I am a being just as worthy of my own love and appreciation and kindness. Mm-hmm. And kindness is, you know, it's an experience.
That's what I was hoping you would say, right?
Yeah, it is an action.
So kindness is not an action. Kindness is an experience.
Yeah, and an action may lead to that experience, but we all know what it feels like, right? It's kind of hard to
describe it
pin down, but you know when someone...
It's like love. How do you describe love?
Yeah, and it's loving kindness. That is one word, metta, and it is one feeling. And for me, the recurring place that I've really felt that is honestly when I'm just listening to a good friend and they're telling me about a struggle that they're having, and they're going through this really hard time. They have had somebody pass away, or they've lost their job, or they don't know what they're going after, or they're having some kind of a struggle. And I'm able to be in that space of truly hearing them, acknowledging that they are suffering, and not trying to give them advice right away, but just listening.
But do you think you feel their pain, and by feeling their pain, do you take away their pain, or you're simply amplifying their pain?
That's a really good question. I think that the way we listen and the way we reflect people can do either of those. And there's sort of even a third, and I'm sure there are more ways. So sometimes we can make people's stories even more dramatic than they are. So if a friend says, oh, I stubbed my toe, and you're like, oh my God, that must suck so horribly, you actually might be making it more dramatic or worse for them. If they stub their toe and you're saying, oh, wow, I'm really sorry, that really hurts. Kind of an appropriate level, right? It doesn't necessarily mean their toe doesn't hurt, but they also feel connection. And they feel connection with me, with the person listening in that moment, knowing that we both have experienced this. I know what it feels like to stub my toe. Or if I don't know what it feels like, I can certainly imagine, because I am also human. And that connection doesn't necessarily remove the pain, the actual physical pain, but it sure feels a heck of a lot better than being alone.
So you essentially reduce that pain by sharing some of that pain. You've actually reduced the pain. But is kindness always in terms of when someone is suffering, or can kindness actually come when someone is really happy and they share this amazing story with you, and the kindness is to be able to actually feel good about their success rather than simply saying the words?
That's a great point, Naveen. That's an amazing point. I actually read something not too long ago that was talking about one of the most accurate predictors of a success of a marriage, or we could say a long-term committed partnership. Doesn't have to be a marriage. They were looking at marriages specifically, and one of the most indicative things was when your partner tells you about a win that they have, how you react. So some people are sort of, I don't remember all the terminology, and we'll put it in the show notes, but one way of responding is sort of negative, disregarding what their experience was and even knocking them down. There's also sort of a neutral, oh, good job, honey.
Or I'm happy for you.
I'm happy for you. But it doesn't go past there, right? They just kind of let it drop. And then the other is being a true cheerleader, a champion of them. Oh my God, congratulations. That's so fabulous. I'm incredibly happy for you. You really deserve this.
Or more than that, saying that I know you worked so hard for it. Not only you deserve it, I knew you would have it, right? So really kindness comes from the fact that people sharing that and really owning it, and that becomes the amplification of it, right? So you can amplify the joy and eliminate the hardships, right? To me, that's a kindness.
Yeah, and maybe their hardship could be an imposter syndrome. Maybe they're doubting that they did deserve this opportunity, but you can bear witness to how hard they worked or just how clear their intention was, whatever got them to this sort of win on the level of form as we perceive it. Yeah, we can absolutely, our friends and our family and our loved ones, we can just acknowledge what they have, and like you said, we can amplify that joy and let them know that it's okay to be excited and it's okay to be joyful, and they don't have to restrain it or cap it around us.
Is this kindness something you're born with, or is this kindness something you can learn? Being kind.
I mean, both. There is definitely an inherent basic goodness that is in all of us. So it's like the sky is always there, even if we don't see it because of the clouds, as Adam and I were talking about the other day.
But you know the sky doesn't exist, right? You know the sky is a figment of our
imagination. On one level, you are absolutely correct. That's totally true. That's totally true. Using this metaphor on the level of form, sky seems to still be there day after day, whether or not we see it. So, you know, it's dark and cloudy and we can't tell. We think the sky isn't there, but it is there. And that is the same as our basic goodness. It is there. And we can also, you know, we can work it out like a muscle. We can practice. We can take in Dharma or teachings that help us to tap into that kindness or that basic goodness or that innate sort of natural, relaxed, peaceful, blissful state, and certainly become kinder over time. And I think that's happened to a lot of people, or it's happened in an instant, right? They get in a car accident and they reevaluate their entire life.
Well, Laura, you are young.
Yes.
And having this much wisdom and really so grounded, there's got to be your upbringing that got you here. So just tell me about your upbringing. What happened? I mean, how did you get to be here?
Yeah, when you say that, I just think of how fortunate I am to be here. My mom, I would say, was very, very integral to the woman I am. She has had a number of things in her career that have kind of put her on a public stage. So she was a state senator in Idaho, the youngest female state senator in Idaho. Wonderful. She was very involved politically, and then moved in kind of into an advocacy realm. And now she works for the State Department of Transportation on active transportation, so walking, biking, anything that's not driving a car, which makes our communities healthier and reduces carbon emissions. And so certainly watching her, as you talk about with your kids, watching her not only have a quote-unquote successful career, but dedicate herself to something meaningful and make a righteous living doing that has been really inspiring. And I also experienced the other side of things growing up and saw there are ways that you can kind of throw away your life by investing your time, money, and energy into things that don't serve you. So I also had, the other example. And I think that blend was really helpful. It kind of gave me, a role model to go toward, and it also gave me perspective on how easy it is to let your life pass you by.
Look back in your life. What is in your journey? What were the things that you think shaped you to become who you are? This kind person who not only preaches kindness to everyone else, does a kindness to yourself and to the planet that we live in.
I think that theater did a lot. That was my major, was musical theater, and I was in community theater from the time I was 10 or 11. And when you're in theater, you have this family, and it always changes. So you're really intensely with this family for like 3 or 4 months, and all you do is hang out with each other and rehearse this piece and squabble like siblings and really feel connected. And theater, being a performer, you inherently have to empathize with the character you're playing. So you could be playing a villain, but no one really thinks they're a villain. The villain feels completely justified. It's like Avengers Endgame, he has a reasoning for what he's doing. Sure. And I do really feel like theater, drama, that sort of thing at a young age, 1, it gives us that empathy, and 2, it also kind of breaks down your sense of public shame. So, I've done a lot of embarrassing things on stage. I have done a dance move and kicked a heel into the orchestra pit, and it went whizzing past the violinist's head. Things that humble you happen a lot in theater. You go up on a line or you forget a line, and you just kind of learn that you're not perfect, that it is kind of nerve-wracking to be in front of other people, and you start to understand that everybody has something that makes them nervous. Everybody feels like they're putting themselves out there sometimes. And I think just like with anything, the more comfortable you get with an experience that you have, the more comfortable you can be when other people have that experience. So when other people are nervous, I totally get it. I really totally get it. I have made money being nervous before. And I feel like I have more just practice in that sort of uncomfortable space where I feel like I can hold that for other people.
What kind of theater did you do?
I did, so mostly musical theater. So my first role was Toto in The Wizard of Oz when I was way too old to play Toto. Yeah. They did not call me back for that role, but I was a little more assertive when I was younger. So I said, well, I would really like to be considered for the role of Toto. And I practiced my bark, and I came in, and I had a fabulous bark that I won't do because it will make the audio peak.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to have to ask you that now that you offered that.
Oh,
I'm just going to have to do that.
Okay.
All right, so here you go, Tony.
Yeah.
That is pretty good.
I know, pretty on point. So that was my bark. Okay. That was my first role. And then I played everything from Toto to Maureen in Rent, which if people know that show, they'll understand that's quite a different character. It was played by Idina Menzel in the movie version of Rent. She's basically this super wild performing artist who's in like a tumultuous but loving lesbian relationship. So that was something I played in college. I played Elle Woods in Legally Blonde, the musical, so I dyed my hair platinum for that. And then the last thing that I did before I switched to being behind the camera was I was in an a cappella band. So I wasn't playing a character, I was myself, but we worked on arranging the pieces together, and we were performing throughout the Dominican Republic, touring around, and that was really enjoyable.
A little birdie tells me you're also a singer.
Yes. So when I was in the a cappella band, we were all singing, other than the beatboxer. Actually, he sang a little bit. He did great. So that, I would say, singing and acting were more my forte, and then I would dance as needed.
So what kind of songs were your favorites?
My voice is more, it's like a pop rock belt is what it would be called.
What would that sound like if you were
belts.
to just give us a note here?
A note? Well, you can hear it in the Moonshots intro song.
Come on, you got to sing it now. You can't just let go.
Okay. So one of the ones I did in the Dominican is really loud. It's going to be really loud. It's Elvis.
Yes, go.
Right? So it's the first line. Well, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. Down at the end of Lonely Street at Heartbreak Hotel, where I'll be so lonely, baby. I'll be so lonely. I'll be so lonely I could die.
Wow.
Yeah, it's probably way loud.
No, that's
thanks,
amazing.
Adam.
That's absolutely amazing.
So the loud is the belt, right?
Yeah.
And then soprano means I just can't sing very low, but I can sing very high.
Oh, you did very good. I think you were
Thanks,
just
Naveen.
absolutely perfect.
Okay, so now you.
So now, so coming to the next thing, I hear you also do jingles.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go do jingles now here. So
Well, what jingle do you need?
well, let's go
What
try
do you
this. Which
mean?
ones you did before? So let's go see if you did something before. We can.
I don't know if the Moonshots intro counts as a jingle.
Let's go do
but-
that. Let's see if we can go to the live Moonshot intro
Oh my
jingle.
gosh. Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's we cut out the verses, right?
It's okay. Go for it. Yeah.
I want the music to come.
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
You gotta take your moonshot, moonshot, moonshot. You gotta take your moonshot, moonshot, moonshot. You gotta take your moonshot, shot, shot. That's the main.
That's pretty
part.
good. And you know what I really, really loved your voice on? The creation story. You were,
Yeah,
that was
that
an
was fun.
amazing how microbes were talking. And I think you should put a link to that and people can hear
Yeah.
your voice in different microbes. From the master microbe to the little microbe. I think that was just a perfect. There couldn't be a better
That
voiceover.
was so fun. Now, I didn't voice the master microbe. We did script it entirely, and I did most of the other supporting characters.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah,
but that
people
was-
should see that. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Oh,
amazing.
absolutely. Yeah. If you haven't seen the Untold Story of Creation animated video, I'm just going to say it's going to be the best few minutes that you're going to spend today. And we'll definitely have a link for that because it's a great story that you tell, helping us understand how much control our microbiome has over what we do in a way that's entertaining and it's fun. And it's actually a video that you could definitely show kids. I feel like everyone is a kid inside, so it's entertaining for all. But if you want to explain it to your friends or family or especially a child in a way that makes sense and doesn't use too much terminology, but is just really explaining who are these little characters inside our gut and all over us, that's a really good video for it. So we'll definitely link it.
So Laura, so you look at this, you as a person who is kind to yourself, brings this kindness to the world, and you're doing that. And the second part that you also do really well is taking the people and their brand and amplifying them.
Yeah.
And now you are actually on that mission to do that. Can you tell us about the second part of that, the part that you're currently working on now?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, working on Moonshots is one of my favorite projects to support because of the people you bring on and the diverse perspectives that you feature, and also your own personal sort of philosophies around asking the right question and dreaming audaciously and really daring to believe that you can actually change the world and all the people and beings on the planet, you can change their lives for the better. So in that work, I do as a director of production with CMG or Creative Media Group. So
but you do lots of them, not just
Yeah.
mine. You do tons of people amplifying their amazing message.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell me a little bit more about the kind of things you do for people. So people who are listening to it, how can they actually benefit from all the great things you do?
Yeah. Really anybody who has something to say or something to share or something to offer the world in this day and age, you have to be online. Or if you don't have to be online, it's certainly not going to hurt. It's going to benefit you a lot. And so what we do is digital branding, digital marketing and branding, but not in a cheesy way, not in a pre-canned way, with, social media and video, podcast content, advertising, anything that is going to help these incredible leaders and these incredible businesses and companies get their message out in a way that people understand and they actually want to hear. So we're not door to door. We're not knocking on people's Instagram feed and saying, please watch this. We're actually making it interesting and engaging for them to watch. And we represent a variety of different entrepreneurs and their personal brands, as well as companies' brands. We're happy to work with organizations as well. And basically getting their message out in a way that really, of course, it supports their bottom line, but it also is in itself valuable. So it's content that's inspiring, that's empowering, that's actually informing the viewer. We're not wasting people's time. We're giving them educational content. Edutainment, basically, I think is where things are going right now.
But Laura, I have to tell you that. I mean, I look at my own Instagram, and every day I look and I say, I'm amazed that I could have possibly made that. Seriously, I mean, you take the content, you really make it so engaging, so informational, so inspiring. And I just really want everyone who has this great wisdom to be able to go out and spread that wisdom. How can people reach you? I mean, if they want to contact you, how would they reach you?
Smoke signals, for sure. Yeah.
Is there an email might be there somewhere?
Yeah, email could definitely be in there. We'll include links in the show notes, but you can always go to wearecmg.com. So wearecmg.com. And I'll just say quickly, your Instagram is fantastic. And a lot of that also has to do with Mandy, the boss, who is an incredible visionary and is always staying current on what's going on in social media. And so if you follow Naveen's Instagram right now, it might look entirely different a year from now because social media is always changing. So I'm just going to say, if you think you've been to his page, go again and just see what's up because it's always changing. It's an art form. It really is.
It is. I mean, to some extent, what has really changed is that it used to be few people in the world who had power to be able to get their message out. You had to be the owners of these radio stations, the TV stations.
Yeah.
And now everyone is a brand. Now everyone has a power to be able to spread their message. And now, I mean, to some extent, you and your organization is helping people get that message out to millions of people now. And that is something totally different. Most people forget just because you are an entrepreneur sitting in your own cubicle alone doesn't mean you're alone. There could be millions of people who are rooting for your success because they believe in what you're doing.
That's exactly it, Naveen. I mean, that really is how I'm executing my Moonshot is through the means of production. Yeah. And just like you're saying, we all have access to the means of production today in a way that people were blocked out for their gender, for the color of their skin, for their level of physical ability. And now that is blown wide open. There are still a lot of hurdles for people to overcome, but the access to sharing your message, if you have something important to say, or to amplifying somebody else if they have something important to say, it's never been like this.
Well, I want to bring you back to your first part on the kindness, which is, what is it, the things you can tell people if they feel they really want to be the part of your moonshot, creating the kindness, being kind? How would you start with practicing kindness? What are the 2 or 3 things, if you can just tell the audience that listening to, hey, do start here. How do you start being kind?
That's a great question. I would say that it's different for everyone. So if you introspect and think about something that has worked for you, that is probably going to work again better than what I could sort of generically recommend. So, for example, I feel really, really kind when I'm listening directly to a friend who's telling me about a problem, right? Naveen might feel really, really kind when he's buying me dote, or you have your own method, or the kinds of questions that you ask in an interview, the way that you treat your family. There are a lot of ways to be kind. So if you take a moment and you think back to the last time or a really potent time that you felt like, I'm a really good person, like I'm being really kind right now. What was that? Were you listening to someone? Were you donating money? Were you giving away your time? Were you picking up litter off of the street? Interacting with an animal? Often we feel really in touch with our human basic kindness when we're interacting with animals. Kind of takes us out of the realm of thought. So I would say, do more of that. Really, the thing that taps you very, very intimately into your natural, overflowing kindness, encourage that within yourself and just do that more, and then recognize what that feeling is and start looking for other things that also make you feel that way, and of course, always surround yourself with people who encourage that feeling within you and who support you with their kindness as well.
Well, being kind is obviously, it makes you feel good, but also it makes the other person you are giving kindness to also make them feel good. Yeah. And in turn, you get a tremendous amount of gratitude that they give you. And that to me is like them putting out the intent in the universe. Laura, God bless you. And what they're really saying is, Laura, I hope that your dreams come true. So every person you give kindness to, they throw the intent to the universe to bring the goodness to you in life. Yeah. And isn't that amazing when that happens?
Yeah, that's some good-ass karma. That's what it is.
Well, Laura, it's been just so amazing. And I said, this is the topic that we haven't covered before. So I'm so glad that you are here to discuss that. And I hope we can get back to you again in the next episode or in the future episodes.
Well, I'll be there either way. So
but look forward to it, Laura. Take
Thanks,
care of
Naveen.
Thank you.